Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. I thought today we're going to have a little bit of a recap on our Japanese funnel webs. Now, the reason being is because these are actually growing on really quickly now, and they're starting to put on some serious size. So the juvies that we have are now pretty big. I mean, some of these in here, these are like this sort of size now. So we're not going to be too far away. I think another molt, maybe 2 molts, and then we should hopefully start seeing a little bit of what we can do with them. And the youngsters that we had, you remember, that were only very small, they're actually growing on really well now, and they've definitely seemed to have benefited from going into a slightly bigger enclosure. So they're in these enclosures as well. These are the 1.3 Braplast tubs, and they work out ideal for this type of spider. They really are good. But these ones in here now are just on the verge of looking for a rehouse. And mainly, really, the reason we'd want to rehouse these guys is not for space. They've got enough space to do what they want to do in here, but it gives us a little bit more freedom with what we're actually trying to achieve with them. So when it comes down to doing maintenance, like feeding them, watering them and things like that, we can have them in a slightly bigger enclosure where they can do a little bit more in the way of webbing. So these guys do amazing web tunnels and things. So we're now going to be on the lookout for something that's going to be a little bit better in terms of a new home for them. Now we can use the next size Braplast is the 3 litre one, which is a long sort of flat one. So it's not giving us the height. I'd like to see something of a little bit more height. So we might well go for the square plastic ones. And I do have one here actually. I can grab that. And this is the sort of thing I'm thinking of actually going for. Now this is a prototype one from like the tarantula room. Now, and these guys have got a magnetic thing on them here. So this is a hole here, so you can pop your food in without fear of things running away if you're a little bit nervous. And you can see how strong that is. That is really strong. So that might just be the ticket. Now, Chris at the tarantula room, he gave me this back at the Southern show, and he said, see what you make of it, see what you think. And I'm not a lover of doing you know, reviews, as it were, of different bits and pieces, because I don't want to offend anybody, you know. But I don't like filling it up with rubbish either. So if it's no good, it's no good. It's as simple as that in my eyes. But this is something that I think we might actually be able to. I've been racking my mind as to what I can actually try and test this with, and I got a feeling one of our funnel webs could be just the ticket. I think we're going to do that. So we'll do that at a later date. But I think by having this, we're going to end up with that little bit more in the way of substrate. And they'll also have the room to web this whole thing up. So these might be the answer. And because we've got a number of these funnel webs, we don't really want to go down the route of glass enclosures and things like that, because it's just too much space. They take up too much space. Whereas something like this, we can stack them. So we can sort of keep a large number of spiders in a small area. It might just be the answer. I'm really thinking that could be the way to go. So what we're going to do now is we are going to have a little look at some of these spiders. Some of these have grown on so well. Now, one of the problems we have is when we open the lids, 9 times out of 10, they disappear. I don't know if you're getting a really good view through the plastic. It's very awkward for the camera. Really hard, but we're seeing difference in sizes and also differences in the way they sort of look as well. So I think what we'll do, this is a good size one here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get the lid off. You see how it darts away straight away. Now these guys have got absolutely terrible reputations, but that being said, I find them to be actually really quite nervous. Now the only downside to them obviously is they are very quick. Very, very quick. Now this one here, she is a good size. I think, where's my tape measure? I say a she, I'm hoping it's a she because we're seeing there. Now she is, 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. You can't see her that well. Right. You're trying to cause me trouble, aren't you? You know this is going to go. Right, so what we're going to do is we are going to get a bit of food. Now these guys are normally a little bit too nervous for this, but we can give it a try. Now look, you see that? She's seen the movement in the web. She's not so much interested in food. She sees that more as a threat. You see how she's changing her behaviour now? There you go, you see, and this is where they get their really, really bad reputation. She's actually following me now. She can see my movement, and you can see now where the reputation for the aggression comes in. So she is now in a full threat pose, and we've not really done anything at all. Now, one of the things that will be spurring her on for this at the moment is, as we speak, warm air from our mouths is actually coming out, coming down, and this, they feel this. They're very, very sensitive to anything in the air. They pick up the slightest vibration. So as we talk, we create vibration and things like that. So now we've got it. But as you can see, this spider is in no rush to go anywhere. So it's actually in a defensive posture. You can also see in here, we keep it quite damp. This is because I've touched the web. You see there? What I want to do is try and open this up so that we can fill the water bowl. That would be nice. If she'll behave herself, we'll try. We'll give her a go. And you can see there. See how tough that is? Look. Very, very tough. And what I normally do is I don't worry about keeping these completely open. So all we'll do is we'll just put a dab of water in there. She will drink from that. She'll take it through the webbing. It's not a big deal. And you'll find quite often or not, we see different things where people get all excited because a water bowl isn't clean. Now, when it comes down to spiders like this, these guys are nervous and they react in a very strong way. If we were to worry about being totally pristine, you know, cleaning the water dishes out, pulling them out every time, we are putting our spider through so much stress that it's really not worth it. So it's better, as long as we've got a container in there that will hold water, she will drink from it and be perfectly happy. So it's a catch-22. So we're looking more for the actual welfare of our spider rather than a tip-top 5-star accommodation. It just needs to serve its purpose, and that's what these have been doing. They've actually been serving their purpose. So what we're going to do, we're going to move her along a little bit. Put her there. We'll just leave her open for the moment, because one of the things that we've realised is when they're in this kind of stance, they're in no rush to really go anywhere or really do anything. So yeah, they do. They literally play like statues, and it's because they're in that defense posture. It's when they're on the floor and just acting normal, that's when they're in a hurry to go somewhere. Now then, we've got this one here. This is a slightly smaller one. And one of the things that we found, you can see a hole there. There's a lovely hole there where she's actually burrowed down. Another one there. So there's a piece of bark there. Can't see it because she's webbed it all over. But you can see the sort of things that they will build given a chance. So what we'll do is we'll put a little dab of water back in here. Remember, all we're looking for is just to add some moisture to that enclosure. She will get a drink out of that. You can see the size difference now. You see, look, she's still in the, you know, who the hell's just interrupted me? This one, on the other hand, you notice how we can work our way around it. We've not actually brought her to the condition where she now feels threatened. It took nothing at all for this one. A slight touch on the web, she felt threatened straight away. And she still feels threatened now, you see, as she's still maintaining that posture. Sometimes it can take them a long time. It can take literally 10-20 minutes for them to cool down and just settle again. And then the slightest little thing, bring them straight back to where they go. See how she reacts? It's because when we move our hands like this, we create a very, very faint airflow across the spider, and that's what she's reacting to. So these are all things that when you're working with them are things that you need to be paying attention to. And then that way you can try and keep your spiders in a nice, calm, easy manner. So that's that one there. This one isn't thinking of going anywhere. She's sitting there. What I'm hoping for is if we leave the lids off, they might just have a little walk, and we might just see them do something of their own accord rather than what we're doing. But the one thing you'll notice here is how they're all very, very skittish, very nervous. I'm going to take the lid off square for this one. See how the web is caught up on the lid, and that is what's creating the scenario with this spider. Now, as we can see here, this one's abdomen is really quite brown, so she's going to be getting up ready for a molt. Won't be long. Absolutely, truly fascinating spiders. So what we'll do is we're going to dribble a little bit of stuff in there. Hopefully she'll just stay put. Oh, you see that? See how fast the reaction is? And all we're doing is giving her some water. Now, as you can imagine, if we were to persist and stick our fingers in here, then this will definitely result in a bite. There is no two ways about it. This spider will bite if provocation is consistent. You know, if you persistently muck around with it, it will try and bite you. So we don't put our fingers in with these guys unless we know exactly where they are and what frame of mind they're in. Now, one thing that we do know is from working with them is that when they're sitting like this one here, we can in fact do things on this end of the enclosure, and chances are it's going to sit there, it's going to behave itself. When they're like this, we need to just be a little bit more careful. We can still do things at the other end of the enclosure without fear of being in too much trouble, but we have to bear in mind that our spider's attitude has completely changed. So we have to be careful with what we're doing. Now then, I don't know. This one here, this is interesting. This one here is sat on the top here. You notice how the fangs are splayed? It almost looks like she's got her fangs in the webbing. Interesting how she's sat like that. And we've noticed this with some of them before. They sit like this. And for no real massive reason. We'll try and get the lid off this one. Oh, look at that. See how she's shook and everything then? When we say she, we're just referring to them. We don't actually know what sexes these are. Now, we have been getting regular molts from them, but the molts are very, very fine. And it's quite difficult to actually sex them. There we go. She's just sat there now. Look, see how she's sat there nice and calm. And you can see the difference in her abdomen. It's much more solid coloured. When they're coming into pre-molt, you see more of the markings in them, and they sort of show up more. You can see there as well that the distinct colour of the fangs. Got a lovely blood red fang on them. You can get a real nice close-up of these. Absolutely stunning. And as you can see, that one there is sat there really, really calm. So weird. Look at that, out of 4 spiders, when we've got 4 different behaviours set off by different things. Isn't it amazing, just the differences? Now this one here is just starting to, she's thinking about settling down, but she's not 100% sure. She is considering it. You notice how she's dropped down a little bit. This one is still in full attack mode. It's like it's going to defend itself regardless. and she is directing her attention at me now. And this again would be because the vibrations from my voice, my hand moving, she can probably see this. But you'll see how the level, this is the important thing. When we look at defensiveness in spiders, it comes in different levels. And what we can see, we can demonstrate that with our funnel webs because of the way they behave. So you can see when you go from a full-on defense mode, and you can then see it slowly, gradually get weaker and weaker as the spider settles down. And it slowly goes back down to normal. I mean, these guys here, none of these have actually, these haven't had any reason yet to do anything, which is quite incredible. What we'll do, this one here that we're looking at now, we'll try and feed that one and see if that will take a roach. Now this is something that we try every now and again with these guys because we'd love to get some really good footage of them feeding, but they don't generally like to be sort of tongue fed. They seem very, very nervous of it. We'll just see what. Where she's going to go. Look at that. And you see how gentle she took that. No fearsome predator there. So again, now we've seen another side. You would have expected to have seen a really, really strong takedown. Nothing at all. So what we can see now is the differences that we got going on. And you notice how gentle we had to be when we were offering that food? Really, really gentle. I don't know whether we can perhaps try one of these others. It's like sweet boxes in a sweetie shop, isn't it? Now this one's already quite skittish. She's like, I was just settling down, and now you woke me up again. See how she's reacting to that? And most of that would have been on eyesight. She would have seen that. You notice how they splay the fangs right out? They're fully cocked. They're ready. But one thing we have seen is everyone is more than willing to stay put at the moment, which is always a bonus. You notice we've cleared the desk just in case we get one that decides to go walk about. And these are red runners that we're feeding them now. And we find that the red runners are a nice soft food for them. And they do like them. What we'll do, we're going to try and get you see, look at that. You see, all she wants to do is hide. She didn't want to do anything there. What we'll do, we'll drop that in. No, she's not going to have none of that, so we aren't going to bother feeding that one. You can see how we get that difference in reaction.
They behave like that, they're quite full.
Yes, it could. It could be, yeah. But they are generally really nervous spiders. Very, very skittish. And I think this is probably where a lot of this defensive behaviour comes from, is the fact that most of the time they're frightened of their own shadow. So they react to absolutely anything and everything. That one there is gorgeous. That is, look at that. That's just sat there and that's just holding on to that roach. They make an ideal food for these guys. So then, what we're going to do, we are going to put the lids back on, I think. We'll cover these up. We don't want too many out in the open. We just put a dab of water in that one as it's opened. Now you'll notice also as well that we use the big sprayer on these. And this is because this is useful because it gives us a distance between us and our spider. And it's also, we can use this the same way as we would our paintbrush or whatever you're going to use to actually manipulate your spider. So you can use this, and it's not going to do any harm. If it rushes and grabs the end of this, it's not going to do itself any harm at all. It is plastic, but it won't hurt it. And also as well, what we can do, if for argument's sake the spider comes in and it grabs this, we can just give it a gentle little squirt of water, the tiniest amount, and it will back off again and it will move out of the way. Sometimes we can actually drip feed these water and they'll drink from it as well. It all depends on what kind of mood they're in. This one is still in full attack mode and hasn't given up an ounce, not an inch, since the minute it fell backwards. It stayed like this. And it is, look, absolutely, if you could imagine being the similar size to this spider, what a scary sight that would be. Absolutely terrifying. I'm glad we're bigger than they are. Right.
Still put you on your bum.
It would put you on your bum, yeah. But one of the things, it's like we can see here, we're moving around. We've got open tubs. And as long as we're careful and we follow the rules, these guys are pretty good. You see this one? She's still in full mode. And you can see how the size of them fangs is absolutely huge in comparison to the spider. And they are needle sharp. Very, very strong. They've got a lovely big curvature to them. They really are formidable things. Now bearing in mind, these as adults will get another 2 inches on top of what they are now. And they will be really, really impressive. So what we're going to do, one thing to remember, when we've got a spider that's behaving like this, when we put the lid on, we want to make sure that the lid goes down in a square thing. So if this is the lid, the spider is in this enclosure, we want to put the lid down flat like that, so that it comes down. So basically what it does is, as it makes contact with the tub, you've covered all exits. If you do it like this, you will 9 times out of 10, your spider will spook and run out the side, because you've left a door open up here. So it would have felt the contact here and it would run out there. So always, always put them down flat. So we can hold this like this, and we're going to go down. We've already got an angry spider, so we're going to go down and we'll just very, very gently. And you notice she didn't react. Good as gold. So as long as we keep our vibrations and things like that down to a nice steady thing that's not going to upset them, we'll put this one back on first. This one's not so bad because it's eating, but we follow the same policy. Same policy. There you go. You see how, look, she's fallen back into a defensive posture there, but she hasn't let go of that food, so that's good. That's good. So we're now going to put this one on. This one hasn't moved at all. This one's playing ostrich at the moment. It thinks as long as its head's in the dark, it's perfectly safe. Now this one has just moved because we touched the side of the box. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the lid back on with this one now. And we're going to go straight over, same as the last one, covering all exits, and then that's it. Now you can see there how, look how she's changed. We've now gone down to laying flat and she's looking for somewhere to hide. You see that difference in the behaviour? As soon as the lid went on, she almost felt safe. What an amazing sort of thing. These are all different little things that you pick up on their behaviour as you work with them. And that was literally a complete change in attitude because the lid has gone back on. They feel security with that lid going back on. We've had a look at this one. This one's out of feed. This just gives us a really good opportunity to flick through them, have a little look at them, see what they're doing. Right, let's have a look at these, see how these behave, see what they do. So this one's out in the thing. She's sitting on top. You notice all of them are sitting out on top until that final little movement. Right, we're going to take the top off, and we're going to do the same as when we put it on. We're going to lift it up squarely, check in as we go to make sure that we haven't got web attached to the top of the box. Now you can see this one here, we're not going to bother trying to feed this one. You notice how brown she is, where the others were more black. And look at the abdomen there, very, very brown. It's going quite clear at the front there. So this one isn't going to be long for actually molting out. Now with these guys, we tend to feed these around about every 7 to 10 days. We offer them food. And sometimes they feed and sometimes they don't. But we don't panic about it. It doesn't matter. If they refuse food, we can look at them. We can see this one, this was had a big meal, and you can see she's almost fit to pop. So when she actually molts out, a good third of that size will actually disappear. So she'll use up an awful lot of that energy to molt out. She's sitting there quite comfortable now. We'll have a little look at this one. You see just that little click. On these tubs, the click that you get when the lid goes on, you see how you can see here how the web is stuck to the lid. So when we move it, we're picking the web up, and this is what's making her freak out. Yeah, she's right down in the corner there. We can see there's a molt there. So she's actually molted out underneath here, and she's left it there. There's water in the dish, so we don't need to worry about that. We're not going to worry doing anything with there. What we'll do is we'll get a little roach and we'll pop him in there. They always land facing the wrong way. See if he wants to walk down there. We might just see a flurry of activity. We might not. Let's just hope the flurry of activity stays in the box. I don't think she's going to come out. She's a little bit too spooked. What we'll do, we'll have a look at one of the others. That one there. Let's bring this one over. You notice with these guys, we've not had any threat displays from these. Really is that last little click that upsets them. Try and get that off without it clicking. There we go. Now this one is already playing ostrich. There we go. Now you can see the difference in the colouring a little bit. We'll get that over there. It's very difficult for the camera to pick up with these guys because they're on a dark substrate. Put a little bit of water in that one. So she's good. What we'll do, we'll try and feed this one. See if it'll. Oh dear. There we go. What we're trying to do is we're hoping that we're going to give the right vibration without disturbing her. Might just flick. Whoa, look at that. Perfect. Now, as we were saying earlier on about the colour differences, this one looks quite brown as well. But she's fed. She's eaten. Well, that was nice. We saw a nice little takedown there. These guys are so difficult to catch on film, actually feeding. As they get older and we give them into their proper enclosures where they build up proper, real good homes, then sometimes they come out and you can see them feed a little bit better. And in that case, what we do is we feed them in a more natural way. So we literally just drop a couple of roaches in there and leave them to it. And then they'll come out and do their own thing. That was a lovely little takedown there. Now these three, these two are definitely calmer. This one's a bit on the skittish side and she's hidden away. She's not coming out for no one. I'm going to put the lid back on that one. Oh, she's out now, look. This is because she got nervous. As we put the lid on, she's run round and she's come out on the top. Right, so let's cover these up and we'll have a look at some of the youngsters that you would have remembered that we rehoused a while back. Very nice. Now see that, look. This is how nervous they can be. She's literally left the roach there and run. And this just goes to show just how misunderstood these spiders are. They really are a very nervous spider. Unfortunately, that nervousness does make them quite awkward to deal with at times. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to have a look at these. Now look at these. Look how these have grown. These are massive compared to what they were when they went in. Ready? Look at that. And you can see there the difference in size. I think when we first put these in there, they were no more than maybe 2-3 centimeters. They've now molted out a couple of times and they're looking absolutely fabulous. This one's molted out here. This is quite a fresh one actually. You can see the fangs are still quite creamy coloured. You can't see the fangs, but they are actually quite creamy coloured. If I turn it round, there we go. You might just be able to see that now. You see they're a little bit sort of creamy coloured. They're not fully hardened up. This one's very flighty. This one's molted out as well. So as you can see, they leave their molts inside like this. And we can pull these out, but they are literally like the finest tissue paper. They are so difficult. I'm a little bit heavy-handed, and 9 times out of 10 I end up destroying the molt before I get to see what it really is. So it's very difficult. Just fill these water bowls up. And you can also see as well, as these are smaller spiders, it makes the enclosure look bigger. And you can see how they've actually webbed them up. So what they do is they run around the outside edges and they use that as like a runway. There's a hole in the middle there. This one's done the same. It's all the way around the edges. So they build like layers. And it gives them a chance to be able to move around really easily. Right, let's see if this one will take a feed. Oh, didn't actually want to drop it. Whoa, look at that. That was quick. Very quick. Now that size meal there for that spider will last her a good 7 days. She won't need anything else. And it's very tempting when you've got spiders like these, it's tempting to give them large food items, but there is no need. Keep your food items small. It works out much better. We're not going to bother feeding this one. As you can see, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but the legs are like a steely bluey colour. This is where it's freshly malted. It probably malted out this morning, or maybe last night. Yeah. Awesome, aren't they? Right, we'll put the lids back on, and we'll see if we can't get a couple more out. Leave that one there. All right. It's really impressive how these have grown. They're really putting on some size. When they're very small, you think when these first came in, they were literally 0.5 of a centimetre. Very, very small. We have another freshly malted one. This is something else that we notice is when you've got very young spiders, they molt frequently. This one's sat in his water bowl, and again, this is a nice fresh molt. You see the colour, that steely blue, and also the fangs. It's the easiest giveaway. Look at their fangs, and if their fangs are really pale, you know it's not long malted. Yeah, there's one down there. Here she comes. Tell you what, we'll try and feed that one now. This is why we like the red runners as well, because we get all appropriate sizes. Absolutely perfect. There we go. Ooh, that frightened her a little bit. Probably a little bit big actually, that one. Let's find a smaller one. Just drop it in there. See whether that movement will tempt her out. I might just have squeezed that roach a little bit too much. He's not sure. They know the difference between food and when we're on the end of the implement poking the web. Hopefully this one will stay put. There we go. So these have really, really grown. Huge. Coming on so well. Now this is one of the things that when we take on a project, you know, sometimes they can be long projects before you get to where you want to be. So what we'll do now is we're going to just drop this one in. Got her in the middle of the picture. Oh, no. It's gone underneath. Let's see if we can't find a little one. There's a little one when you want one. I don't know if the camera heard that. Yep, that was a funnel web who's just woken up and found its roach. Oh, you're joking. Right, I don't think we're going to get that one. That's got 2 little roaches in there now. That won't be a problem. They'll be fine in there. She will mop them up when she's good and ready. Looking absolutely really cool. Really, really cool. So as we were saying, when these went in here, these were probably around about 2, maybe 3 centimetres at the very most. I don't think they were even 3 centimetres if I remember correctly when we done the video. So they've actually improved so much. I mean, they're now, you see the size of them, they'll fill one of the milk bottle lids easily. So they've really, really grown. And this is one of the things that we look for when we're doing our spiders, especially when we're doing different spiders and we're not sure of the best methods and things like that. We play and we experiment all the time. And one of the things that we found is that the funnel webs, they do really well in this style of box. And also the other thing that does well in these are things like your phalanxes, the harmonicons. And this is because all of these spiders require the same kind of setup. So they do really well. And what the reason is because these boxes really hold moisture well. So we don't have to worry about keeping that humidity in there because the box does it for us. It makes life really simple, makes it easy for us. So it's definitely worth doing. And these are all different little things that we pick up as we go along. And it makes life easier for the next time round. Right. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll leave it there for these. We managed to see a couple of nice takedowns, and hopefully you've seen some real close-up footage of some of these spiders. They are absolutely awesome spiders. Now, that being said, they're not the easiest things in the world to look after, and we do need to show a little bit of respect with them. So what you've seen here today, we are very comfortable with these spiders, and we know what we're looking for in terms of reaction and how these spiders behave. As you've heard us say before, your spider is talking to you all the time. It's letting you know how it feels and what is going to happen. So we know what to look for and we keep an eye on those points. And this is what enables us to be able to get away with what we're doing. So steady steps. You know, you can do this with your nice easy spiders, learn how they behave and maneuver, and then slowly progress, and you'll get there in the end. Everything will be cool. Right. Well, it's nice to have a recap. We'll leave them there for now. And then I think what we'll do is we'll have another look back in them on a couple of months' time. And we'll see if we can't see some of the size differences that we've seen from when we last saw them. And hopefully, we may even have a couple of sexed ones that we can actually work them out. That would be the best thing in the world. And then hopefully one of these females will go mature large enough that we can actually start looking at getting our breeding program into play. That's the ultimate aim. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.